This is the second of two videos about grids and level. Again, when starting a new project, it is a good idea to start with building levels and column grids. In this video, we're going to be talking about column grids. Once again, as we take a moment to think about construction document, column grids can be seen in floor plans, elevations, and sections. Unlike building levels can only be seen on elevations and sections. Architects use column grids to locate vertical structures, such as columns and bearing walls. As far as Revit environment, as mentioned in the previous video, column grids provide horizontal references in the X and the Y direction. Reference plane in Revit is a very important concept to understand. The top right corner of your screen is linked to the video that I made last semester about reference plane. I want to strongly suggest that you watch it. Watch it as many times as you need to fully understand it. As far as placing grids, grid works pretty much the same way as level. It is a two-click process. The first click is empty, and the second click will contain the label and the bubble. On Architecture tab, under Datum panel, if you click on Grid, you will see that the ribbon changed to Modify Place Grid. What happened there is Revit tried to group tools that you will most likely use in association with the grid command in one place. Under Draw panel, that is where you pick how you want to draw your grid line. You can draw grid lines that are curved, or you can draw grid lines that are straight. Grid lines that I'm going to place are going to be straight. I will select Line from Draw panel. And just like building level, Revit will keep a running number in the background. So the first grid that I place is going to be grid line 1 by default. I'm going to place grid line 2, and again, I'm going to try to align both ends with the one that I placed previously. And 3, and 4, and 5. Then we are going to hit escape twice to get out from this command. For the next part, I'm going to show you how views get updated automatically in the background. Judging from the plan view, you will be able to see grid 1 through 5 from either east or west elevation. So I'm going to open up east elevation. We should see grid line 1 on the right hand side and grid line 5 on the left hand side. And if I go to the west elevation, the opposite is true. If I decide to get rid of 5, I'm going to undo it, Command Z. 5 is gone from the west elevation and from the east elevation, as well as floor plan. Now I'm going to start over by undoing it all the way to the beginning. Now we're back to where we started. You may ask, instead of undoing it, why don't I just delete all those 5 grids? As I mentioned before, Revit keeps running number in the background. So if I delete those 5 grids, then the next grid that I place after that is going to start with grid line number 6. Now you can rename that grid line number 6 to start with 1 again, and it'll reset the count. So it's really no big deal. It's just a matter of preference. Next, we can discuss how grid lines behave. As I mentioned earlier, grid lines behave exactly the same way as building levels. So if I click on grid, and select straight line, the first click is going to be empty, and the second click is going to have grid bubble with label in it. Now, grid line doesn't have to be 90 degree. It can be any angle that you want. I will not be covering curved grid line as they are not as common, but I want to encourage you to explore it on your own. I'm going to make my grid line 90 degree. Then I'm going to place 4 more vertical grids. Then escape twice. Now if I click on one of the grid, doesn't matter which one I pick, you will see that the top portion or where the bubble is are locked and aligned together. And I purposely place it so that grid line 1 and grid line 2 are aligned, and grid line 3 and grid line 4 are aligned. Now if I want grid line 1, 2 and grid line 3, 4 to align and lock with each other, all I have to do is click on one of the grid line, either 2 or 3 or 4 or 1, it doesn't matter. You can just click on this open circle and then drag it to align with the one that you want to align with. You will see a hidden cyan line and a padlock indicating that they are aligned and locked with each other. Now if you grab that open circle again and drag, all 4 will move at the same rate. I can grab all 4 of these and align with grid line number 5. Again, you see the hidden line. Now grab the same open circle and move it up or down. You will see that now grid line 5 is aligned with the rest of the grid lines. Now the 2 check boxes again. One on top has a check mark in it and the one on the bottom doesn't. If you check the box, the grid bubble will be added. And if you uncheck, it'll go away. If you uncheck on both sides, you won't have any bubble at all. I'm going to put it back. The thunderbolt symbol below the bubble allows you to add elbow to the grid line. You can adjust the location, or you can put it back. Now I'm going to place grid lines exactly the way that you see it on the screen. Rarely in Revit, I try to place objects or elements exactly where they need to be. Instead, I took what's called sketch then modify approach. Now I don't think this is an official term, but I've heard somebody use this before and I have been using this term since. This term means roughly place objects or element where they need to be, then move them into place later using dimensions. Let me show you what I meant by that. I can see that there are 5 vertical grids and 5 horizontal grids. So I'm going to roughly place them first. Since I already have 5 vertical grids, I'm going to place 5 more horizontal grids. So first I need to go to Architecture tab, click on Grid, and I want the empty side to be on the right side, so I'm going to start from the right and drag it to the left. By default, this one is going to be number 6, but for the horizontal grid, I want them to be letters. So I'm going to rename 6 to capital A. Then hit enter on my keyboard. Now the next one that I place by default is going to be B. So I'm going to keep going. Since I did not hit escape, I'm still in the grid command. Next, I'm going to dimension all of them. The quickest way to get to dimension is from the quick access toolbar. Again, for now, just copy exactly what I do. I will be talking about how to place dimension in a separate video. If by the time you watch this video, I already have the video made, you see the link on the top right corner of your screen. Even though dimensions that I'm using here are permanent dimensions, their sole purpose is to help me precisely place those grid lines. Once the grid lines are placed correctly, we can get rid of the dimensions. Now that I am done placing dimensions, I'm going to hit escape twice to get out from this command. From the screenshot that we saw earlier, I know that the distance between grid line 1 and 2 is 29 feet 6 inches. In this case, I want grid line 2 to stay in place and I want grid line 1 to move. So I'm going to select grid line 1. Watch what happened to the 20 feet. It turns blue, indicating that it is activated, and now you can manipulate the dimension. When it turns blue, you can just click once on the number and change to the distance that you want. In this case, it's 29 feet 6 inches. So I'm going to type 29 on my keyboard, then space, then 6. That stands for 29 feet 6 inches. Then you can hit enter on your keyboard. Grid line 1 will move. Next, I know that the distance between grid line 2 and 3 is 3 feet 6 inches. I want 3 to move. From 3 to 4, it's 5 feet 6 inches. Watch what happens if I keep grid line 3 selected. As you can see, the work that we put in to move grid line 2 and 3 has been undone. So it is important to decide first which element will stay, which element will move. I'm going to undo, Control Z. So I want grid line 3 to stay, grid line 4 to move. So I'm going to select grid line 4, and the distance is 5 feet 6 inches. And the next dimension is 9 feet 6 inches. 5 will move. Now that I am done with the vertical grid lines, I want to also make sure that the overall dimension is correct. 48 feet, in this case, it is correct. Now the distance between grid line A and B is 8 feet 6 inches. I want to move B. Next is 10 feet 6 inches. I want to move C. "10 feet 9 inches, I want to move D. And lastly, 12 feet 3 inches. And after I make this last move, the overall dimension should be 42 feet, which it is. So now we're done placing the grid lines exactly where they need to be. Let me zoom out. Now if you just imagine two lines that extend between the two opposite triangles, the intersection of the two lines will form a crosshair. Also imagine a rectangle that formed by grid line 1, 5, and AE. I want to take the center of that mass and align it with the crosshair. Right here I am window selecting all grids and all dimension. Then go to the Move command. First click about the center of the mass. Then align and second click at the intersection of my imaginary crosshair. I'm going to escape twice to get out from the Move command. Now let's tidy things up. I'm going to shorten the horizontal grid line and then the vertical grid lines. Now I need to extend this a little bit to the left. Actually back to the right a little bit. I think now I'm happy with the location. I also want to make sure that the grid lines doesn't get moved by accident. So the option that I have is to pin those grid lines into place. To do that, I will window select again, but this time I will only select the grid. Make sure that dimensions are not selected. Pay attention at the ribbon. When you select the grid, the ribbon switch from architecture to modify grids. And the tools that are associated with the grid command will be grouped in one place. Under Modify panel, I'm going to select Pin, and the keyboard shortcut for Pin is PN. To signify that the grids are pinned, you will see the push pin symbol on every single one of the grid. I'm going to click on an empty space. Now that all of the grid lines are pinned, if you select any of the grid line and you try to move it, you will not be able to move. Even if you select on the open circle and you try to extend or shorten the length of the grid, you won't be able to do it. If for some reason you need to make a modification, all you need to do is select one of the grid and unpin it. Now A, C, D, and E are still pinned, but since they are locked and aligned to B, if you modify B, they will be modified as well. And once you're done with the modification, just pin it back. At this point, I want to refer back to the video that I made previously on user interface. You can click the link on the top right corner of your screen. If you fast forward on that video to the 9 minutes and 15 seconds, I talked about selection bar, which is on the bottom right corner of your screen, and the options that are available here also corresponding to the options on the drop-down menu on the top left corner of your screen. In addition to pinning the grid, if we want to add a second layer of security so that we don't accidentally move the grid, you can uncheck Select Pin Element. What that would do for us is it would not allow us to select anything that is pinned. But since the dimension lines are not pinned, we can select them and we can erase them. I'm pretty sure that there are a few things that I didn't cover in regards to grid, but I hope I get to cover them in later videos. Here we are again at the end of this topic. I want to thank you for watching this video and see you again soon.